Let's just bring it up, make sure we can hear. Hunter, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on, dude?
Oh, what is up? Okay, good stuff, man. You guys, welcome to the Crypto Remora. We are live right now. We had a couple of issues last week with the streaming, and not sure what was going on, but we tried to reschedule it for today. It's a Friday, 12 o'clock noon. But if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. We do NFTs, gaming, layer twos, ETH, Bitcoin, everything crypto, news, all the good stuff. Keep you up to date. But today we are achieving a milestone. We have a very special guest. Very happy to have him on. We have wanted to have him on the show for quite some time, and we are both Wes and I. We're both receivers of the airdrop of Arbitrum. So we're old school. Our first episode was called "What is Arbitrum?" You can go back, check our history since 2021. Our Twitter accounts have posted at the top, "I love Arbitrum." I've had that in my headlines since I got into crypto, and got lucky enough to get in with Andrew Saunders and a couple of the other guys back when they were doing some stuff. Had him on the show. You were a little busy, you guys were busy back then trying to get the airdrop out and stuff, but I feel like we finally made it in the Web3 world, because we have had Andrew Saunders on and now we have Hunter on. I mean, where do you go from here, right? So it's going to be kind of hard to top, but so glad you're coming on, Hunter. You guys are cooking, steady cooking. I mean, you're posting, you're going around countries around the world, you're streaming, you've got your own channel, you've got your own podcast. I mean, you're working hard, man. And Arbitrum, Offchain Labs, Arbitrum, just now partnered with Robinhood, and they are doing the damn thing. So two of my favorite superheroes in stocks and cryptos, Robinhood and Arbitrum, and they're now together. It's awesome for me. They're two of my favorite platforms, and now it's showing that I was right about my calls as far as identifying who the best were in the space. And it's good to see, and it's like confirming that I was right about everything. But I'm not trying to brag on my calls. I want to know a little bit about what you feel. We'll just dive right into the interview here. What do you feel about the Robinhood? Robinhood's obviously got Pudgy Penguins and all this stuff going on, but what do you feel like? Are people going to get a little more educated now that Robinhood is actually like talking about Arbitrum, like layer twos, like the normies? When I asked that, I mean the normies. Are the normies going to start to get more educated because of this partnership? Do you feel that's one of the benefits?
But before I even go to that, I just want to say thank you for having me on. Of course, you guys are OG. For almost as long as I've been at Offchain Labs building Arbitrum, I feel like I've seen your podcast. For what it's worth, the audience knows I haven't been ducking any kind of show up. By the way, I think you reached out recently. I'm like, obviously, I'll come on. Like,
okay,
I would have never said no, just to be clear.
Okay, yeah, awesome, man. Awesome.
Regardless of how busy I'd ever be. But yeah, definitely appreciate you guys having me on. It's a privilege. And yeah, no, dude. I mean, listen, it's a partnership. I think that it's bigger than Arbitrum. I think it really is kind of like a watershed moment for the entire space, if you ask me. The biggest partnership that I think we saw, like the crypto space saw previous to this, you could probably argue would be Coinbase wanting to launch their own chain and essentially more or less say that they wanted to move a lot of their assets and whatnot, like on said L2. I think the biggest thing to remember here is that this is not a crypto company, right? Robinhood is by all means a fintech company. Yes, they have like innovation in their blood, but they're not crypto first. They were never really crypto first. So to have them essentially the other day, like you were saying, we're essentially going to start, Vlad in particular, start moving a lot of our, starting with the EU, like our tokens and our assets and essentially some of their operations completely on chain is absolutely like wild. It's the kind of thing where I got into crypto back in 2017, and you would have never convinced me that was going to happen, right? So that announcement I think was huge, obviously for Arbitrum, the ecosystem, Ethereum, but definitely I think just in crypto generally speaking, it's kind of like that thing where once you see like a very very innovative and big company taking that first step to move their operations on chain, this is just the beginning. frankly. Like as exciting as that announcement was, it's the beginning of what will most likely be tons of other institutions, companies, etc. Saying, you know what, like at the end of the day, if it's operationally more efficient, if it makes sense from a revenue standpoint to go on chain, to have our own chain, then we'll start to see a lot more of it. As it pertains to your question more particularly, like do we see users maybe being educated and kind of learning more about the blockchain part of it as it pertains to Arbitrum or and this Robinhood announcement? I don't think so. And I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. Like, to me, the way crypto was always going to scale was just essentially as Rails, right?
Mm.
Not necessarily as like us picking up our wallets and like shitcoining on like a DEX. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Don't get me wrong. If everyone did that, that'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome. But like, I don't expect like any like every average person to go on and say like understand how to save their passkey, like what an RPC is, figuring out like, oh, like if I lose this stuff, I lose it forever. Like in all reality, I think expecting people to learn and understand that stuff is a little bit I think it's a little bit unreasonable. So definitely where I see crypto hitting the masses and maybe people learning about it. But yeah, if you want to learn more about like how, like for example, if you're in the EU, how I'm able to trade US stocks, then yeah, of course, like you'll be able to look up the videos of Vlad talking about it and see kind of the probably actually that announcement that they did in Con. But as it pertains to people learning more about blockchain, Arbitrum, etc., from this Robinhood announcement, it'll happen from the news. But I'm very happy to say that they don't need to know. They'll just use it and it'll work. That's what I'm most excited about.
Absolutely. And you know what? I 1000% agree with you. And I just wanted to get your take on that because I feel the same way, right? Like I feel like only a couple of psychos like myself would deep dive as much. Like when I want to learn something, I just go absolutely insane like a pit bull and I just focus. And when I first saw Robinhood, because I was trying to go into options trading. So I was studying the stock market. I was studying my candlestick patterns and I was like, all right, this is it. 5 hours a day. I put myself through YouTube University. I watched every video I could for like 6 months. Before I even put $1 in, I read the entire contract agreement from Robinhood because I was like, nobody's going to steal my money. It's like, I deep dove as hard as I could. And after all that, I was like, what is this Ethereum? Because I had heard of Bitcoin. I'm like, oh, you could buy Bitcoin. I said, what the hell is this Ethereum? And I started looking into what ETH was. And I was like, holy shit, this is massive. And I sold every stock. I sold all the options. I wrinkled up everything I had, dude, everything. And I went all in on ETH. I didn't have a ton of money at the time. If I did, we would be cruising in a Lamborghini live streaming with 4K right now because I made the right call. I just didn't have that much money in. But
still got time, man. We still got time.
Yeah, I do. ETH was $75 when I got in. It was $75, and I was DCAing in. And but you were in earlier than me, so I can't even imagine. But the beauty of it is
like $6, like $5.
Oh my god, that's so cool, dude. That's awesome. So coming from a computer background, you have you don't really. You have coding experience, right? Like you came from a computer background a little bit, right?
So my background is mechanical engineering from school. I went to school for mechanical engineering. Not really coding. I did try to learn coding at some point. Like I think to your point, like I have a love for learning things, and when I want to learn something, I go very deep, right? So just like the way you were saying. So for crypto, in 2017 I got into it, but I was just like in and out because I was still in college. But it wasn't until 2020 that I really just said, all right, I'm gonna do content creation full time. Did that for about a year in crypto. Lost a ton of money because obviously I wasn't working at the time. I was literally just creating content. And then obviously 2021, I started working here at Offchain Labs. And the rest has obviously been just learning the ropes, building an ecosystem. And it's funny because I think people, I'm sure like you can make it look any way you want, and I'm sure people think about it in many different ways. But when I think about like just like the role of a community manager, or back in the day, which is what I was now, I do community strategy. It's really just being a person. Like, doesn't matter if you're in crypto or any other industry. It's like, I think people forget Like you just, at the end of the day, you're just talking to people all day, and you just try to show them that, A, you care about what they're building, and B, helping them out in any way you can, But yeah, it's been great.
So maybe in the future, if I need to do something, we'll talk about maybe putting a good recommendation in. Hell, between you and Andrew Saunders, Offchain should at least consider me. I got two guys that might recommend me for a part-time position over there at Offchain Labs. But no, since day one, I mean, if you read my bio and Twitter, it does say Arbitrum, Maxi, and Solana. I named three things, right? But even then, I knew that Solana was not on the same level. I just named Solana because it was so easy to use. And for me, as a customer, as a person, right, as just a human being, I like things that are easy, fast, clean, and I don't have to, just simple interface. That's what attracted me to Solana. So I put Solana in my head title too. So I put Robinhood, Arbitrum, and Solana. And I said, these are the three that are going to win retail. And I wasn't wrong, right? Where did retail go with the crap tokens on Solana? Now DeFi, if you want to talk about DeFi on Solana, shit. It's a joke. And me and Wes both feel very strongly about that. And that's not to down talk Solana, but it is what it is. Arbitrum is king of DeFi. I just the other day made myself to a full Grail believer, Camelot Grail. I've been a user of Grail and Camelot since 2021, I think. Love what they do. Love everything. All the DeFi on Arbitrum is killer. The community is killer. The Lost Donkeys, the whole shebang with Arbitrum is it's my favorite. There's no other way to say it. They got the best logo. They got the best team. It's like when I saw the airdrop video, it was like watching the Bulls, man. I was like, holy shit, this is
watching the Bulls.
Like the Bulls, man, with Michael Jordan and Pippen. I was like, look at this team, dude. And Andrew Saunders too. And I'm just like, oh my God, this team is going to dominate everyone. Like I just knew it would. In the airdrop, the whole airdrop experience, farming for it, it was so amazing that's why I'm like, Arbitrum for life. I mean, I don't think I'll ever switch from that. But I think the beautiful thing about what you guys do, the best thing about Arbitrum is how simple it is. And, US based. I mean, come on, dude. If you guys, it's like retail. I really want them to know the basics. They don't have to understand the science, right? You use a light switch. You don't have to know how electricity works. If you want to invest on your own, if you want to get into what they call DeFi, decentralized finance, Arbitrum to me is just the easiest way to do it, right? That's my biggest plus of Arbitrum. Not even to talk about how it's scaling Ethereum. I'm not even talking about how good it does that, right? I'm not even talking about that. I'm just specifically saying one sector of Arbitrum, the DeFi sector, dominates in most categories that I've seen so far. But I wanted to ask you that question. If you had to pick one sector that Arbitrum is the best or your favorite part of, what would be your favorite thing about Arbitrum actually?
I would say DeFi, but I think I can give a lot more nuance to it. So when Arbitrum first launched 2021, from the get, like DeFi was kind of like its main bread and butter. You had obviously like the treasures of the world and kind of like the gaming side of it. Funny enough, the NFT side. There was also, I'd actually say, like a very, very big part of the community, especially like the very least, like 2 years. Like you were just saying, Lost Donkeys, DMX Blueberry Club, the Toadstools. I wish the Toadstools never went away. Those guys are great.
Oh, I know.
It truly was a very unique community. In the fact that you had like this really robust DeFi ecosystem for even way back then, but also a pretty strong gaming ecosystem as well. I think gaming even nowadays is like really, really good, especially with like the advent of Arbitrum Orbit. But like I think DeFi is probably one of the most important. Somewhere along the way, I don't know if it was in 2020 or I think it might have been 2021, 2022, to be honest, where I think a lot of the average users just stopped caring about DeFi. And I think as a result of that, you did see like a little bit of a sentiment shift with people like, not even with people like in the ecosystem, but like broader people in crypto in general. And that's kind of when we had like the rise of meme coins and like, people, it's almost like you went from one side of the spectrum where like we went from like the invention of Uniswap and like to something very, very, very complicated. Then it got so complicated, especially the front end, right? That like users were just like, this is too much. Let's just revert to like buying and selling coins again, right? And I think that period of it was definitely, I think it was tough from a community perspective because you have all these people saying, hey, like there's a lot of meme coinery going on these different chains, but it doesn't seem like Arbitrum's leaning into it. And it's a very interesting thought that I've had like a good amount of times while being here. And I think the partnership with Robinhood really kind of shines light into kind of what not even say what the focus is, but I think what like the end goal of building like a platform like Arbitrum is. It's not necessarily to like feed into anything like speculative in nature, or like not to say that it's not made for anything speculative in nature, but it is to say that like if you are building something that does require like proper scale, whether it be like starting on like a public chain and then migrating over to your own chain at some point, Arbitrum is like literally the only place to do that. But it's like a proof point to show that like good things can come very quickly, but great things take a lot of time. And that Robinhood kind of like obviously partnership is an amazing example of that. Again, like I truly think that was like one of the biggest announcements that crypto will see.
Huge.
We'll probably see even bigger ones probably as time goes on, since they're like kind of like the first ones to make that move. But the point is that like, I think Arbitrum being unopinionated and neutral in its stance on like, what can be built there and what can flourish there is like so key to its growth so far. That being said, I do hope we can bring more experimentation back to Arbitrum. Like that's not necessarily just like meme coins that like pump like 100x and then come back down, but like people building like really, really interesting and like novel experiments, and that can like leverage the liquidity that Arbitrum is really able to provide, right? So yeah, that's kind of my take. I'm very bullish on DeFi. I think DeFi is the backbone of crypto, to be honest. I think the average user doesn't really care much for DeFi because of how complicated it is. That's kind of on the app developers kind of side to say, like, how do we dumb this down or like make it much more approachable for the average consumer? Because at the end of the day, that's who we're building for, right? For the most part, the end consumers.
Yeah, it's and that's where we come in. That's where the Crypto Remora comes in because, the first episode we did, What is Arbitrum? I was immediately already I was hooked because to me, being a little bit older, I got a couple years on you, but back in my day, I wanted to be a stock trader, right? I wanted to go to Wall Street. I wanted to go on the floor. That's what I wanted to do. And I worked for a guy directly who worked for Solomon Smith Barney, which back then in the 90s, if you worked for them, you were the top, that was the top place to go. And he told me, he said, Nikki, he said, you don't want to go to Wall Street. He said, they will eat you for breakfast up there. You do not want to do this. And I said, no, I want to do it. But by the time I was kind of turning 19, 20 and, trying to find who I was and what I wanted to do, by that time, the stock trading from the 80s kind of was dwindling down, right? The whole thing was already like the stock trader in general, his job was already diminishing because of computers. They were already coming in. So to watch the whole transition from wanting to be a stock floor trader to now that job doesn't even exist, in less than 20 years or so, that job's gone completely. But then I sat down, I said, okay, now I got Robinhood, I got my computer and, mutual funds and stocks and all this crazy stuff. Back then you had to pay a financial advisor, right? You had to know somebody,
right.
You had to have a lot of money and you had to have a friend of the family get you in, right? That's how you got invested back then. It was very difficult. Now you download a freaking app on your phone. My little nephew is 17 years old, whatever the heck. He's already, I have him. He's got Arbitrum Nova NFTs right now. Like he's got Arbitrum NFTs and Arbitrum Nova NFTs. He's 17 years old. I showed him when he was, 16 and a half. I said, this is what you got to get into. I'm going to show you all this. And I showed him all that. And I'm just like, these kids have no idea how good they have it compared to back then. I sound like an old boomer. But
I'm going to tell you, I remember using AOL. You know what I mean? So like,
AOL, yeah. Chat
I'm not
rooms
that.
and shit.
No, literally. So like, it's funny because like you know, I even remember back then, my dad was an entrepreneur and he would sell beepers at like a store in the
Okay.
Bronx. So like you know, I feel you, man. The shit was crazy. You know, so I agree. It's crazy, man. You know, and
And now
yeah,
DeFi is the replacement of going to your grandfather's friend who's the stockbroker. You don't need
right.
to do that now. If you literally jump on Arbitrum, you can use an app, and everybody knows how to use apps now. You jump on Arbitrum, and in 5 minutes, you connect your freaking wallet, and you hit the stake button, and it shows you how much percent your yield you're going to receive.
Well,
So
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think just to even like touch on that, I think AJ from our team, I think said it best. Like, especially with this thing with Robinhood and obviously you know stuff that may come in the future, you're just going to see a convergence of like DeFi and TradFi to just finance. It's all just going to be finance, and it should. And like to your point, it should be easier to use and just like even the wallet stuff. You essentially you'll have the option of being able to do it the way we do it, like you and I, like with a wallet, and you plug it in and all that stuff. But you know, our grandma will also have a choice to just log in on her app and just buy it right through there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, email, password, click buy, connect your bank account, and that's it. And it'll still be on chain, but
yeah.
you know.
Do you think? But see, here's my dilemma with this, because this is a huge brick wall in the TradFi versus DeFi, right? And I think the brick wall is really made of paper. I don't think it's a real brick wall. They want you to have this appearance that DeFi has to exist separate from TradFi only because there's no digital ID that 100,000% identifies who's behind the screen. Whereas on DeFi and you're on a wallet, I kind of like that, dude. I kind of like the whole degen side of crypto. Like, I like that. I don't want that to necessarily disappear. I'm all for grandma getting on her AOL account, logging in and buying some Arbitrum or some low caps. I'm good with that, but
like,
don't
you'll have the
kill
option,
my DeFi, bro. Like, I don't want them to mess with my DeFi.
But that's what I mean. It's like, so I totally hear what you're saying. I you know, and mind you, this I remember like you know, I come from a time in crypto where people hated stable coins, right? Now they see like this is the most exciting thing that you know that's coming to crypto. I think the main point is that you're gonna have the option. You're not gonna be forced to either do one or the other. Like,
Yes.
again, we literally see with Robinhood. What Robinhood did, like, and today, if you're in the EU, you can essentially buy buy stocks that are essentially just tokens on Arbitrum. Like literally point blank, like that's what's live today. It's insane, right? So like, you know, obviously as time goes on, they'll launch the chain and they'll have liquidity between Arbitrum and their own chain. But like, I think the point, like the main point is that, you know, we're not going to be shoehorned into like what you just said. Like in the past, we'd have to call up like Fidelity and get something set up and all that stuff. You're just going to log into an app, or you log into MetaMask if you want to get degen with it. And we'll be able to do, you know, whatever we want really with our own money. And I think that's the point. You know, like, we have ownership of our own assets, and at the end of the day, everyone has access to this opportunity no matter where they are in the world. Yeah.
And we have, just so you know, we have a guy on our team, GMB. He does stuff to help out with communities that aren't educated at all. With he's fighting the fight from the ground up. He's fighting it from the technological standpoint. Just quick shout out to GMB, but he actually goes into the community that doesn't have necessarily cell phones or tablets or education on how to even get on the internet. You'd be surprised how in modern days some people still don't know how to do basic things, right? So he's trying to approach it from that aspect and slowly bring people into crypto. Crypto or More is trying to bring the average user that has no idea what crypto even is. We're trying to take those people, and I want to empower them to use DeFi, figure out what NFTs are, get comfortable with wallets. You know, I'm taking that beast head on just because I feel like it's not as hard as most people think. Like, it's really not that hard. Most people download apps all day on their phone, but then when you say, yeah, download Uniswap or create an account, write your password down and just send it. You know, sending crypto is no different than sending an email. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, there's a couple complex things you got to learn, sure. But the overall basis of using crypto. Once you do it, once you dive into it and do it a couple times, that fear goes away. And our goal on our channel is to try to teach people not to be so scared or intimidated, right? So for the newbie out there, what would be your first piece of advice for someone that's maybe interested in DeFi because they've heard the term? Where would you start them? You would start them with watching videos. Like what would be your strategy to teach somebody that's new?
I think so it depends. If it's like crypto in general, ironically enough, I've onboarded a good amount of people through Farcaster, which is kind of like a kind of crypto social app. Like they have a nice experience where you have that social timeline, but you also have like the wallet built in, so you can have like these DeFi experiences within the same
That's
like
cool.
app that you're talking to people. If it's like DeFi, like proper DeFi, you gotta just sit down with them. You gotta just sit down with them, and like it really depends on what it is, right? Like for example, I've been onboarding my brother into crypto recently, so like literally as of like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, and like he was an example where like I sat down with him, I explained the entirety of like Uniswap, for example. If you can understand Uniswap and like how to use it, like from wallet login all the way to transaction execution, then you cover like a large majority of the basics to the point where like, all right, now you know how to use this. Go home, try it yourself. Watch a video or two on something a little more complicated, like a GMX, like a options trading platform. And if you have any questions, just DM me. Like DeFi, very specifically, it can be pretty complicated for someone that doesn't have a financial background. Like me, like I got into crypto with a mechanical engineering degree. It's some experience in marketing because I was doing that for a year, but I had zero kind of idea on how like any of finance works. So I learned leverage trading, options trading, and everything else in crypto, like from a crypto perspective. I had no idea like how to do it and like in the TradFi sense anyway.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, ironically enough, that's how they're going to learn how these primitives work. It's going to be through crypto, which is pretty cool, actually.
It's awesome. You couldn't even, as far as leverage trading goes, right? It goes back to what I said earlier. You had to have a grandfather or best friend to even open a freaking investment account. You had to have an X amount of money. And, it was like, well, where do you start? My family on my dad's side didn't have any money. So when I went over there, we had 8 people living in a freaking townhouse. And, we were about 30 minutes outside of DC. And it's like, there was no financial education. Like there was no investing, right? There was nobody even talking about investing. I mean, the closest thing was somebody getting a scratch off ticket, right? So I had to kind of hunt that down myself because I was like, I know there's a better way to make money. And there was no, even with that, I just feel like leverage trading and stuff back then would have been, you would have had to have a big pile of money first, to be able to even do that. So the stuff that you can do now on these apps, I would actually say Camelot, dude. I'm a big Grail believer. I'm totally Camelot head. I think that's the easiest way to start people off on DeFi, right? Because if they don't want to do anything else other than just stake or get into a quick liquidity pool, that was my favorite thing in the beginning. GMX, I love GMX. I've been using GMX for years. So I just love everything about that. I'm going to shift gears just for 1 second, break off topic. I saw you. Are you a Rush fan, or was that just a flimsy T-shirt that you had, or you had a Rush T-shirt on?
A
Was that
Rush
just,
T-shirt?
yeah, not now,
Not
so.
now.
You had one the other day. I was just going to ask you about that. Being a musician, I had to ask because that's my drummer's favorite band.
I don't think so. Did I?
Yeah. It might have been an old video. Maybe you just were rocking the T-shirt or something. Didn't? Yeah, you had one on. It was. I think it was an older video on your timeline. I just figured I'd ask you about that though. What is your favorite artist or band?
Dude, man, I don't even know. I'm like, I'm kind of an old head when it comes to music. I'm like a big like '80s guy. Like I'm a big like Bee Gees, Earth, Wind and Fire kind of dude. Like rolling through New York with like the windows down. I'm in like upstate New York too, so like it's not buildings, it's just trees and deer. Yeah, I really like that stuff. I used to like Kanye a lot too, but yeah, ever since he kind of got off his rocker, it's a little tough to rep him. But
Yeah, yeah, I
but
hear
yeah,
you on that. And so he or Brooklyn. You said Brooklyn is where you're from, or
no, like upstate New York.
Just upstate, a little. So not the city, like a little bit north of the city, right?
Yeah, like 30 minutes north. I'm in Westchester, if you're familiar with it.
Oh,
But like,
Westchester. My I think Peekskill is where my drummer's
yeah,
actually from.
Peekskill.
And
Yeah, so Peekskill is
Peekskill,
like right there. Yeah.
yeah, and that's a very small town. I've heard a lot of the stories from it. I've never been up there. I've been to New York City before, but I've never been up to the suburbs. But he showed me the pictures. It's like the mountains and all the roads up there are so freaking. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do that. That's a little steep for my.
Peekskill especially. Yeah, yeah, it's a little steep.
Little steep for my blood. So what else you got going on coming up right now?
Yeah.
Are you're back in the US, you're back in the States. What's your next major conferences or like traveling? What's your next thing that you got coming up?
But I will say Con was great. Like comparing especially to last year, Brussels was like the worst place they could have picked to have a conference, in my opinion. Con was like the complete opposite. You know, in between meetings, you're hitting the beach, you know, going back to the room and then meeting with more people again. The next conference, because I'm in New York, I'll definitely be at ETH Pragma, or like the I forgot what they call it. It's like ETH Global. They're doing like a hackathon in New York, like they always do. So ETH New York, pretty much. That's in early August. There's going to be an Arbitrum event happening. You're going to hear first. So if you're in New York, definitely stop by for that. And then I think DevCon in Argentina, I think is where it's going to be. But like, other than that, dude, just you know, cranking away. I'm trying really hard, at least personally, on my front, to get more kind of indie builder, kind of like experimenter, kind of hype, kind of like more active on Arbitrum. As I mentioned earlier, doing a lot of that through Farcaster currently. But let's see. Everything's going pretty well so far. Like I said, that Robinhood announcement, and it's funny enough. Gemini announced the same time that they're also tokenizing stocks on Arbitrum, and PayPal, I think the other day, announced that they're putting PYUSD onto Arbitrum too. So like we're having all this like institutional wins, which are great. But I want people to like really understand that, like, just because Arbitrum is seeing all these wins on this side of the of the spectrum, it doesn't mean that like the indie builders and whatnot can't benefit from that too. So that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on.
Awesome, man. Well, you let us know on Crypto Remora. Of course, you're welcome back any and every time you want to come back, or if you have a new project you want to talk about, or anything at all that we can help promote with Offchain Labs. They were very generous on the airdrop. I think I got about 2,000, which is a lot. That was a lot for the airdrop for me. I was very proud of that because, you know, I didn't have a ton of money to put into the market at the time. So when I got my airdrop, it was I think that was the first official airdrop I ever actually got. So I was like, it was a great experience the whole time, just learning and being in the chat with Andrew Saunders and Lambo and Shred and Rejects and Hectic and all these guys. I mean, Cheddar Bob, the whole Lost Donkeys crew and Arbitrum crew kind of helped me and Wes, right? And kind of helped us, coached us. And it's just, you know, you get a sense of community with that you don't get anywhere else. So I would encourage people to follow Hunter, follow Arbitrum, find out what Arbitrum is. It's a layer 2 on Ethereum. It's the top, I want to say it's the layer 2 on Ethereum. And if you don't know what it is, you don't have to learn the electricity to use the light switch. Just know that they're the best and take our word for it. And that's all I have to say about that. But is there anything else at all you want to leave with our viewers before you kind of hop off? Because I know you got to get going here.
No worries, man. I think the only thing I would like to cement is that it's funny because actually I think what you said there is kind of one thing that we're trying to help kind of reshape in people's heads, is that I think Arbitrum, like historically, of course, is known as just an L2. I think the Arbitrum as a platform thesis is like Arbitrum everywhere. Like really that thesis is what we've been really trying to drive into people, that like you have Arbitrum one as one of the biggest L2s on Ethereum, which has tons of liquidity, tons of users, etc., or whatever. But you also have the Arbitrum Orbit offering that like is now like from where we're seeing the Robinhoods come in, the Ape chains come in, like the anime chains come in, Converge should probably be launching soon. Like I think people are vastly underestimating the network effects that Arbitrum Orbit will bring to the broader Arbitrum ecosystem. So yeah, I'm very, very, very excited actually on that side of the table, and that's kind of why we're pushing like Arbitrum as a platform as this idea, because as an L2 it's cool, but as a platform it's unstoppable. Like I truly think Arbitrum will literally be everywhere because of that. So
That's
that's definitely
incredible.
one thing we're trying to, I think, push quite a bit more, but it'll take some time. But I think we'll get there. We'll get there.
I have on a side note, I have the ape chain. You know, when they connected to Camelot, I jumped all over that. I was like, oh, you can connect ape chain, ape coin. And I was like, I was playing around. I was like, what is going on? Like, I was like, you know, Bored Ape is freaking doing stuff on Arbitrum. It's like my wheels were spinning back then. I'm like, what the hell is Arbitrum up to? Because when I saw that on Camelot, Camelot's kind of still got that mystique about it, where it's like very degen, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's very commercial, right? They're very big on crypto Web3 platform. Everyone knows them. That's in Arbitrum, but you know the broader world doesn't really know yet about that, and that's what our goal is, man. With Crypto More, we're going to keep chugging away on our end, trying to bring people in, show them the light, show them the leaders. So like I said, if there's anything that you ever need, brother, you feel free, please reach out to us. If you want to come on and promote anything that's going on with Arbitrum, kind of keep me up to date, keep our people up to date. Any alpha is appreciated. And just real quick, one more question.
Of course.
Is Arbitrum Nova, because you know my PFP, if you guys know my PFP, that's a Nova punk, right?
Of course.
So
It's classic.
I have quite a few. Do you know any of those guys that are over on Nova? Is Nova still doing stuff? Like, what's going on with Nova?
It's funny because I don't think we put a ton on focus on Nova recently. It's very ironic actually because Nova, in and of itself, like the architecture that Nova brought to the Arbitrum ecosystem, is like the most popular amongst Orbit chains. So for example, Ape Chain is technically using the same architecture as Arbitrum Nova, not Arbitrum One. Like Arbitrum One is a rollup. Arbitrum Nova is uses something called data availability committee. And I don't want to get too technical, but the point is that Arbitrum Nova, like the chain itself, like hasn't seen a ton of folks coming into it, but it's birthed a ton of chains based on the same architecture. Funny enough, I'm not sure though. I think like I actually haven't spoken to the team much on Arbitrum Nova. I think there was some talk maybe a long time ago about having it be like an L3 on Arbitrum One, because they does still have much more capacity than Arbitrum One does, but I'm actually not sure. It's a good question to be honest.
Well, if you see those boys from Nova, give them a shout out and tell them to help push that narrative up, because I was like, this is probably the most degen of the degen, and I went a little crazy on Nova. I was like, I want to get these Nova things just in case, and I still have quite a few. The Nova Punks team actually sent me a bunch of
Cool.
of the Nova Punks and stuff, and I got hundreds of freaking NFTs. I'm just like, I'm holding them like comic books. We'll see what happens with the NFTs. Last thing is Bitcoin price prediction. Everybody's got one. I know that, but I want to ask you cycle top, time frame ish for you, and price targets. I'm just going to tell you mine real quick is $275,000. That's the euphoric peak for me. In other words, I think we hover at 120, 150, and then I think we head up towards 200 towards October, November, December, January, those 4 months in particular. I think we have this run from 120 up onto 200. But I think what happens is the retail comes in, gets that one final steep push. You know, the euphoric top is around 275. And then we come back down to earth, which will probably be back around 100,000. That's been my call. Wes's call is a little bit different. But what are your thoughts time frame wise? And what is your, I don't want to know like where it's going to stay. I want to know what's your crazy mentality when everyone's, you know, what's your euphoric top? Like, what is your top before it falls? Like, and your time.
That's tough, man. That's tough. So first of all, not financial advice from for whatever I say.
Exactly. Me either.
First of all, of course. I think it's tough because I've said this in the past 2 cycles that I was in. Now this is the 3rd one. It does feel like we're entering a moment where we might actually end up breaking this 4-year cycles that like Bitcoin and crypto sees. Because like we've all, you know, for the longest time, people have said, when are the institutions coming? When are the institutions coming? They're here and they're literally buying with size. It's absolutely wild, right? So like I it's funny you said 275. 275 sounds like really high. Um, but like I've also as we saw like BTC and ETH can like pump like almost nothing, especially if you have companies like MicroStrategy and what was the SBET I think is the one accumulating ETH now, coming in and just absolutely market buying everything. I don't know. I mean, like honestly, I would just be literally making a number out of my head. But maybe
But we
like I don't
don't
know.
take
Once
we don't take it
yeah,
too well. We do. Me and Wes are very
it's a
competitive
good.
on this stuff. We take it very seriously, but you don't have to get too serious with it. It's just your basic guess of.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said 275 is a little high. Would you say at least 200? I mean, in
By
the
the end of the year,
euphoric
right?
time. Well, not. It doesn't even have to be end of the year. It could be go into
Oh,
2026,
okay.
2027, whatever.
Oh well. Yeah, I mean, no. If you're saying if like years ahead for sure, I could definitely see it. Like I think like the people that are calling for like $1 million Bitcoin, I think don't sound as crazy as people might think they do, considering this thing started at like a cent. I think even
Yeah.
less than a long time ago. And it really just seems like Bitcoin just being itself is like the most viable thing it can do. And it's done a great job of doing that, right? Like no one's trying to do anything fancy with it. We had the time frame when people were trying to do like NFTs on it and stuff like that. I think that was like way too much, to be honest. I tried buying one and it took me 12 minutes to even attempt to buy it because that's how long a Bitcoin block is.
Wes
You know what I
somehow
mean?
figured it out, dude. Wes got
Oh, really?
the runes. He played around
Yeah,
on runes.
wins.
I think I bought a couple of letters or some shit. It's like three O's and an A, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what am I even doing?" At least with NFTs on Arbitrum and Solana, I get a cute cartoon picture or some artwork. I'm buying these freaking letters on the Bitcoin thing for my NFT. I'm like, what the hell is this? So yeah, I agree with you. I think Bitcoin's job is money, and if they want to make, if it's like taking gold and making jewelry out of it, I think the NFTs on Bitcoin are just it's gold, but you're just drawing something and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's Bitcoin, and it's going to continue to go up. But I'm curious to see where that goes to. But Hunter, thank you so much, man, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Sorry about the lag to the viewers last week, you guys. But
Dude, no worries, bro. You're good. No worries, man. No worries
but
at all.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we will get you back on when we can get Wes on too, so we can all talk, because I'm sure Wes has a million questions he wants to ask you and kind of pick your brain. But
Let's see. I'm excited to jump back on, especially after we see the launch of some of these chains and maybe the launch of some more apps that come to Arbitrum. But it'll be a very exciting couple of months. Arbitrum Autumn is not a meme. It'll be a really good time.
Ooh, there's some alpha for you, ladies and gentlemen. Arbitrum Autumn. There we go. Because I remember you guys were saying that around the airdrop. That was a saying back in the airdrop time, because everyone, man, I felt bad for Andrew back then, because everyone was just, when is the airdrop? When is the airdrop? I'm like,
Just
man,
funny,
people
man.
were, I was like, I messaged him directly and I said, Andrew, I don't know how you deal with these people. Like for real. I hadn't even got my airdrop yet. And I'm just like, you guys are acting like brats. Like, where's my candy? Like, just chill, bro. Like, if you're going to use Arbiter, just use it. Like, oh my God.
I'm so glad
But
those days are over.
yeah, I bet it was that stress. Was that crazy? What was it like working direct? Last question, I promise, and I'll let you go. What was it cool working direct with Andrew? I can only imagine you and Andrew Saunders in the same room working on Web3 shit. I mean,
And Andrew was a powerhouse, dude. Especially considering I think he came from Amazon before he had joined here. It was really impressive how quickly he picked up on like the culture. Like it was like very, very quick
you're a
actually.
freaking degen, dude.
Yeah, DJ's another word for it for sure.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's
he's great.
an absolute beast. But to go from our Web 2 world, the top of Web 2, and then be able to seamlessly just come into Web 3, which is like that, it's like that takes a whole nother kind of level of person, man. So yeah, Andrew's a good dude, man. Solid dude.
Yeah, dude, definitely.
And he thinks the same of you, just so you know. He put that in the chat. He was very happy that we were getting you on. So last thing, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like, subscribe. We're trying to get to our first 1,000 followers. We're almost there. We're in the 900s, you guys. We got quality guests like Hunter coming on every now and then. Thank you so much, Hunter. We really appreciate it. And yeah, after autumn, please come back on. Anything you want to update or anything like that, anytime you want to come on the Remora, you are more than welcome, sir.
Sweet, man. Thank you for having me again, dude. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys make sure you stay tuned. We're going to have another stream Monday at Thursday at 7, sorry. Thursday at 7 p.m. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And hit like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Make sure you follow Hunter at Hunter B Fresh on X. And we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.
All right, dude.
See.